Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, welcome to Throwback Thursday. I am going to play you guys an interview that I conducted with Aingeal Rose and AHONU. This is about twin flames. This is about healing your ancestral family line, and a whole bunch more. What's really weird is I haven't heard this interview since I did this 6 years ago. And at that time, I was planning to move to Ecuador. I live in Ecuador now. But about a month after I conducted that interview, I realized that, holy crap, it's so expensive to fly to Ecuador. I did not have that money. I mean, it was like $800 each. And you mean the two kids, it was like so much. So my friend ended up telling me, well, why don't you just, go to Guatemala? It's like super cheap. And you know what? I paid $450 for the three of us to get to Guatemala. It was like so cheap. And what's ironic is that when I finally did fly to South America, I discovered a secret. And the secret is this. If you want to go to Ecuador or Peru, the best way to do it is to fly to Colombia and then take a bus or a boat down the Amazon or fly, you could literally fly from Medellin or Bogota to Leticia in the jungle and take a flight from Iquitos, which is 3 days down the river, and to Lima. And that's how I got to Lima. And then from Lima, I took 40 hours worth of buses to come all the way to Cuenca. It wasn't a whole 40 hours on the road. It was 11 and a half hours of waiting for the next bus in Mancora. But, I did it. I finally did it. It took, 5 years or 4.5 years to get here. I've been here now 15 months in Ecuador. But, I don't know. I was looking for the interview, the raw interview, because I wanted to add music to the background. And it's just gone. An interview that I conducted with LaRon Jones is gone. Although it is on my YouTube channel, that one. And all of my original interviews, all the MP3s I had uploaded to my player on soulspeakradio.com are completely, it's impossible to play them now. And I don't know why. They changed their player, and it no longer plays MP3s, which makes zero sense. But I've lost a lot of my original work. But I'm trying desperately every Thursday. I promise to have some remnant of Throwback Thursday until I run out. I did find that the entire episode, I went through my emails and I found what I'm about to play for you guys in one email I sent to them after the fact, saying, here's a copy of the show. Feel free to use it on your show if you want to, or if you just want to re-listen to the interview. And back in the day, I was on the radio. It was an internet radio. And my show would literally air on Sunday, and then it would play on Wednesday, and there were absolutely zero archives. So it was up to me to keep all of my shows. And I interviewed people, and then I would send the show to them. But if I didn't interview anybody, it ended up on my little player or on my website. And now all the things on my website you just can't play them. There really are no archives. So some notes about the upcoming thing you're about to hear. It is the show in its entirety. So you're going to hear the opening music again. And this is what my show used to be. That was the original format. It was 30 minutes long, or like 29 to 30 minutes long, never over 30 or 31 minutes. And it was always like at the end, I always had the 5 minutes of therapy for your spiritual success. I'm hoping that what I can do is after I'm done with the main bulk of the shows for the remaining Throwback Thursdays, when that's over, I'll go back to just adding the 5 minutes of therapy for your spiritual success back into every Thursday. So when I go back to a normal format, I'll have a little remnant of the Throwback Thursday, if that makes sense. And in time, eventually, I will probably get back to doing that segment because I really enjoyed doing it. It was really challenging to come up with it, but my old show was only once a week. And I only did it for about a year, not even a year, maybe 6 months. And I ended up doing some of the shows. I kept doing repeats. I don't even think anyone was listening. I mean, there was no analytics. There was no way to find out if anyone was listening. It was a cool radio station online, but there was a lot of things that I felt were missing, and that's why I went to a podcast. Oh, and that reminds me, I mentioned that I have a podcast. Well, I kind of wanted to have a podcast, but I didn't really know anything about doing it, and I kind of felt like I was already kind of half doing it anyway. So, you know, and my kids were a lot younger. I mean, my oldest is a grown-up and in, California now, and my youngest is 16, so I have a little bit more time on my hands to actually get the show out every single day. But back then, it was just like, oh, it's another crisis week. I need to go ahead and do another show from before and do a rerun or a repeat. And then plus on top of all that, for only, your ability to only hear my show twice a week, and it was always the same show. It was just, the repeat was Wednesday. It was kind of like, well, I had to pay $50 a month, just to get in that 30-minute slot every Sunday with the repeat on Wednesday. So I just, for me, it just wasn't working out. It wasn't working out for a variety of reasons. My life was topsy-turvy and crazy because I had to move. I couldn't afford financially to stay in California anymore. And I did want my kids to learn Spanish. It was the last thing I do. And they both are fluent, thank you, God. And they both understand Spanish. My oldest understands more than speaks. My youngest understands and speaks perfectly. And I'm kind of somewhere in the middle of that. Or maybe I'm not as good as them, I think. I think they're better than me when it comes to Spanish language. But I don't know. I mean, there's some things in here. I did, after this interview, realize that the man who I assumed was my twin flame is my near twin flame or a close twin flame. And I learned it and realized it as a direct result of the interview you are about to hear. And it was a hard and tough realization for me because I'm a Virgo. I just want everything in a nice, neat package. I want my life to be done, set, secure, set it and forget it technology. That's how I want my life to be, And life is messy and there's a lot of cleanup you got to do emotionally and mentally and physically and spiritually. And, it's never what a Virgo wants for sure. Maybe it's what an Aquarius wants or or a Pisces or something, but definitely not. It's not a thing for Virgos, right? We're always looking for that like perfect, neat little, okay, everything is in line. This is the way it's going to be from now on. Boom. That's it. Anyway. I'm not disappointed, but I'm just, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for me, but it is what it is. And I'm happy to have found what I found for you guys. I'm not going to add the background music. So during the interview portion and the speaking portion, there is no background music. At the very end, you will hear the lovely sounds of Lake Tahoe. And I have gone around every time I've gone near water. I think I have another interview at some point that I did in Guatemala where I'm sitting near a fountain. I have one where I'm sitting next to the Caribbean Ocean or Caribbean Sea. I have one near Lake Atitlan. I mean, if I could find them, I mean, again, I've lost a lot of my old work. All my original work is just lost to the Akashic records, I suppose. But I didn't record the Amazon River. Isn't that weird? I didn't. I was terrified to get my recorder out. I thought someone was going to steal it when I was on the boat. So that's like the one body of water I have not recorded yet. But I do live near the Amazon forest. In fact, or rainforest or jungle. I live about 45 minutes from there right now. So I'm going to see what I can do about it. I'm going to see if I can't record it, because every water sounds different. And I have 4 rivers here, so I should do that here as well in Cuenca. Every waterway has a signature sound to it, and there's no 2 seconds on a river are alike. And it all sounds the same. It sounds the same. But when you're really focused and meditating and concentrating on it, you're going to see that eventually in time you're going to notice it. Like a couple electrons off each individual rock is being broken off and pushed down the river. That changes the sound of it. And the river is never the same as it was 5 seconds ago, or 1 second ago, or 1 nanosecond ago. I don't know, the idea of water and the way that it interacts with the earth for me is a really incredibly profound, it's just a profound idea. It's a profound, deep thinking thoughts, you know what I mean? All right, well, this is enough of my introducing this, but I did this, I think, maybe December or January. So if it was in January, it was 6 years ago, in 2013. Otherwise, it was in December of 2012, possibly. Maybe before that. No, it was before that. God, I can't remember, honestly. Unless I put the date in the actual show, I don't remember. When it's on Soul Speak Radio, the day that I did the interview. It's on the archive page. It has, so if you really care about the date, I don't know. I don't care really too much, but one weird thing is the imagery of sea turtles have been coming up in my YouTube feed like all the time, and I just changed some stuff on my Google Chromecast, and it's like a screensaver, and I have I put it on the natural world, and every time I've been walking into the living room over the past week, inevitably I'm going to see the sea turtle. Even there might be like 100 pictures, and that's the one I keep walking in on to see. And the idea of a sea turtle has been coming to me, and I want to give a shout out to Slowpoke, who is a new pet companion, a turtle, a land turtle. And Slowpoke is my good friend Rainy's new turtle. So shout out to Slowpoke. So see, there's another turtle reference. So when I was putting this show on today, I had to re-listen to it to see what was going on so I could, introduce it proper. I had no idea. I had forgotten completely that AHONU is the name or the word in Hawaiian for sea turtle. So I don't know if you guys are having any kind of synchronicity or vibe with that. Here it is again. So look into that. I also just started looking at these cards that you can draw, and it teaches you about. It's not tarot and it's not angel cards, but they're like sea oracle cards by India Goes Software. And so they have like this thing where you can get the folder, and then within the folder, when you download that part of the app, which is free, you get to look for free through all of their paid for decks. And they have like 18 decks of cards. And so like every couple days I'm looking at a new deck. So a sea turtle came up for me in that as well. So anyway, it is what it is. It's really cool. Anyway, I don't know what else. I had a lot more other things I want to say, but I did want to make sure I got that shout out to Slowpoke in case he's listening with Rainey to the show. I'm sure he is. So I love you guys. I hope you have an amazing time with this Throwback Thursday. I'm going to go hang out with my kid now. So enjoy the show. I'm getting it out early. So woohoo. So with that, I'm signing off with peace and joy and love and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. And enjoy the interview. I'll be back with a brand new episode tomorrow. So until next time, enjoy the next 30 minutes. All right. Bye. Hey you, have you ever thought about having your own podcast like me? Was it even a New Year's resolution? For me, it sure was. But as I've been looking into this for months, I was daunted. There's so many questions I had. When I was trying to get this off the ground, I was wondering, how do I record the episode? How do I get it across all the platforms? How do I get my podcast on Apple Podcasts when I don't even have an iPhone? How do I get it onto Spotify and all the other places? How do I get people to listen? And how do I make money from my podcast? How do I edit it? Oh my God, I had all these questions and I was so confused until I discovered the simple answer is Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free, and it is ridiculously easy to use. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. All you need to do is record it. You don't have to go out and look for people to advertise on your show. They help you. So basically what I like about podcasting is I don't have to have a video of myself. You don't know if my hair is dirty or if I'm still in my pajamas or even if I'm wearing makeup. Haha. And it's so easy. I could do this from the comfort of my own home in my living room using this amazing app right from my cell phone. So easy, right? So if you've always wanted to start your own podcast and make money, by the way, doing it, please go to anchor.fm/start. That is anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters that are already using Anchor. Again, that's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast, and I can't wait to favorite you. Woohoo! Let's be broadcast podcast buddies. I'll see you there. Metaphysical Soul Speak starts now. Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak with your host, Elena Fox Starks. Metaphysical Soul Speak is a spiritual show that explores the mysteries of the universe and reminds you of your divine connection. Well, welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I am here with a really exciting guest.
Aingeal Rose and AHONU. They are a wonderful couple who have been studying metaphysics, a combined experiences of over 50 years, and they read the Akashic Records. Recently, they appeared on the most famous talk show in the whole world, Coast to Coast AM, and I'm just so impressed with you guys. Welcome. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Well, thank you. We're happy to be here.
Great to be here. This is AHONU.
Thank you so much. Now, you guys are twin flames, which, in my own understanding of this, you are in your last life. You came here together for a purpose, which is super exciting. You are visionary artists, you are authors, speakers, you have your own radio show, and you're spiritual teachers. And please enlighten me if I have left anything out.
No, that's quite a bit. We do online group Akashic sessions, and AHONU does wonderful visionary art readings for people. And we've been doing this for a long, long, long time, although we haven't been together all that time. We've been together since 2006.
Oh, okay. So I want to ask you, how did you guys meet?
We met at a spiritual conference in the Canary Islands in Tenerife back in 2006, and we had the afternoon off. We were out on a whale watching boat, and we were both on that boat, and so I could feel some energy. He was staring at me from behind, and I could feel it, and we just talked a little bit that weekend, but then 2 months later, we saw each other at another conference in Phoenix, and it was at that conference that things started to get obvious that there was something going on here. Do you want to say anything about that, AHONU? It was a fateful day for AHONU, I have to say.
Yes, one of the interesting things about this whole twin flame business is that most men don't understand relationships at all, full stop, or period, as you say in this country. And that's true, I believe, for most men, perhaps except Italians. I'm not really sure about that. They're supposed to be very romantic and in tune with their feelings. But however, most men run a mile when they meet their twin flame because they know something's going on, but they don't understand it. And that was exactly my situation. Here we were on a whale-watching cruise, lying in the sunshine off the coast of Africa in Tenerife, and blazing beautiful sunshine, absolutely exquisite weather, and this relationship is going on telepathically, and I'm getting these shivers that says, run a mile now, swim, fly, just do what you can to get out of this, get away from here, because this is just too much. And I didn't have any idea what was going on, except that when I went back to Ireland and I tried to make contact with her to understand something about it, I found that the only time that I could connect with her was either at 12 midnight my time, which would have been 6 p.m. her time in Chicago, or else it was 6 my time and 12 hers. So in other words, there was this 12-6 connection going on, and even that made no sense to me. I recognized it, but I didn't understand it. And then we decided that we would connect again at a workshop that was going on in Phoenix, Arizona, about the following April, I think it was. And we were checking into this hotel, and we were standing on the lobby, in the lobby, on a rug. And Aingeal Rose said to me, look down, and I turned around, and I was standing on the 12 of this clock. The rug was shaped in the shape of a clock, and I was standing on the 12 and she was standing on the 6. So we were saying, oh my God, what's this? What's going on here? And this was kind of the kind of thing that would send shivers up your spine. So we went to this workshop in Phoenix, and we discovered that the whole business of twin flames is actually based on the symbolism of the clock face, in the sense that you will have a twin pair couple that are what they call 12-6. A 12-6 pair. But equally, you will have lesser twins that might be a 3-9 pair, or a 1-7 pair, or a 2-8 pair, or a 4-8 8 pair or a 5, 11 pair or whatever way that goes. Do you understand? So you'll have primary twin couples, and then you'll have secondary or lesser twin couples. And we discovered just through the synchronicities of all of this that we were a 12-6 pair, and that was quite a shocker. And that was really what had me jumping on the next plane back to Ireland.
Oh, that gave me chills for sure. That's amazing. So, for my audience, because not everyone is familiar with the concept of twin flames, even though over the last years it's become more popular and in New Age circles and in spiritual meetings. I know for one, I am a twin flame, and I have met my twin. And like you said, he ran for the hills. We're super close. We're really, really good friends. We talk almost every single day. But as far as the relationship, we tried for a couple of years, and it didn't happen. As far as being romantically involved or married. But we are working through a lot of stuff. I noticed when I work through, like I just got my third degree in Reiki. Became an energy healer, and I'm going through a ton of energy. I feel it flowing to my body, and a lot of things are changing in my body. He just called me and said, I don't know what's going on, but, I have more energy. I feel younger, and I feel healed in so many ways. And we're also healing our family lines. So I was wondering if you guys could talk a little bit on that.
Yes. Well, being a twin really does mean that you are each other. And, if you can imagine that we begin as a flame, a spirit flame in spirit, and there's a point where that spirit flame divides, almost like cell division, and that would be your primary twin pair. And then those pairs divide again, and that's where you get the lesser twin, which means that it's still part of the same entity or being. It's just the frequency starts to diminish more and more. But not all twins are meant to be romantic. I mean, some are even parent and child this lifetime. I met a woman who, we were given a lecture on twin flames, and she actually burst into tears and said she finally understood who her daughter was to her. Okay? But it really does mean that you are each other. So, of course, whatever one experiences, the other is going to, on some level. And the other thing that happens is that everything's magnified. So that has to do with things that are healed and things that are unhealed. So you'll find that twin pairs often have the same issues. Oftentimes they've gone through the same types of traumas. They'll think the same. There'll be lots of similarities that'll go on there. But when you do come together and you're physically together, even if you're not physically together, but once you meet, everything gets bigger. So you actually create almost like a third Merkaba field between yourselves by bringing the pair together, because you're each filling in the missing codes that you've had over lifetimes. So that means that when you have issues, sometimes it's hard to help each other because your issues are the same and they get bigger. And then other times when you do heal part of yourself or the other person does something, the other one will benefit from it.
Wow, that's so amazing. I almost wish we had more time to discuss all of the ins and outs of twin flames, because it's such a fascinating topic and it's such a misunderstood thing. And everybody that just hears about it, they always say, oh, I wish I could find my twin. And over the last 2 or 3 years of knowing my twin, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to wish this on anybody as much as it can be so. It's so wonderful, and the love is so intense. But at the same time, the fights can be so intense. If you're not ready or twin is fighting it a little bit, it could be pretty gnarly.
Well, it is, because there is a huge responsibility to the relationship, and it's a relationship where you can't hide either, because you are each other. So therefore, there's no lying, there's no hidden agendas. If one or the other of you who is still interested in maintaining a separate ego and following that direction, then it probably won't work. And twins oftentimes do have the opportunity to come together, but one or the other may not be ready. I hear this a lot. And it is kind of sad because it's a strange connection. But, you know, the love part of it is beyond really the human. And I think that usually means that they're saying yes to a commitment to do planetary service and world service, as well as to uphold like a higher masculine and feminine principle than what's been here before.
Right. It's a huge, I'm so happy that you guys came together, actually, because it gives me hope. You know, I know some twins are getting together and then their life purpose together is being fulfilled, and it is a sacrifice. You're not in your own little world watching TV and feeding the chickens out back and living a solitary life. A lot of times what you're doing for the world. Even if you live simply, you are expanding yourself energetically to literally heal the planet. And it's a huge undertaking, energetically speaking.
Yes, you are right about that. And it's an interesting thing that more and more twin couples are coming together at this point in time, as Aingeal Rose mentioned. And it's a good thing, of course, but it can be also very disconcerting. And especially if you're in one of those mainstream religions that says, hey, you can't divorce here, or, divorce is a no-no. And I'm speaking specifically about most Western religions where let's say a soulmate couple might be together, for example, and have children, and that could be their only purpose in life, is just to bear those children together. But then one of them may meet their twin flame, and that's their primary soul contract, is to return to that twin flame. And therefore, a divorce is inevitable. So this helps people understand why they can be in relationships that are only for a certain length of time, and then it is inevitable that a breakup must happen. But usually it would be as part of the unfolding of that person's soul contract and the joining together of the twin flame energies, which has a huge impact on the Earth and the Earth's evolution. Does that make sense?
Yes, it really does. I'm getting all kinds of chills about this. This is, I think, enough for my listeners to digest at this time, but I'd love to have you guys on the show again in the future if you're willing to come back to Metaphysical Soul Speak. Awesome. I wanted to quickly mention, AHONU, you are an amazing artist, and you have a way that we can get in touch with you. Is that correct?
Yes, and if I could just mention very briefly, because you said about ancestral healing, one of the things that people benefit from the art that I do is healing right back through ancestral lines, and that is an amazingly beneficial thing. And people can get in touch with me through my website at ahonu.com. That's AHONU. Interestingly, it's the Hawaiian name for sea turtle, which is my favorite sea animal, of course. AHONU.com.
Okay, and Aingeal Rose, you have your own website as well, so we can hear your radio show?
Yes, I do. It's aingealrose.com. It's AINGEALROSE.com. And we do have our radio show every Saturday morning on the Art of Living Well network. So it's a blog talk radio, so it'll be blogtalkradio.com/Art of Living Well, and we are under the Honest to God series.
And it's wonderful. I've heard it, and I'm just, it gives me chills every time I hear your show. It's so enlightening for me. So thank you guys so much for coming on my show, and thank you for putting yourselves out there and giving all this awesome information that is so needed in this world. And it's just been a pleasure having you here. I can't wait to talk to you again.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
And We'll be right back with Metaphysical Soul Speak.
Okay.
Metaphysical Soul Speak is brought to you by ilovehypnosis.com, where you can change your life in just a month using the power of hypnotherapy. And now it's time for 5 minutes of therapy for your spiritual success. Today I'd like to talk to you about a little bit of an uncomfortable topic. This is it. This is my question for you this week. Why do you shrink from your God-given power? What I believe is that God gives you desires, true desires, in your heart, because that is your destiny and that is what you need to fulfill. However, as we grow up, we hear things like, well, the only artist that ever makes it is a dead artist who has a big body of work, so you'll never see a dime of it. Don't go into art. Or we hear, you don't want to be a musician. When are you going to be serious about your life? Or you hear, well, you can't buy a house with surfing. These are things that you may or may not have heard. Whatever it was that your dream was when you were really little. Now I'm talking really little. I want you to go back. This is your homework for this week. I want you to think about this. Think about when you were really little. What did you really, really want to do? And I'm not talking about being a fireman or being a nurse and the immediate careers that come to mind that people put on you. When I was a kid, I watched Romper Room, and that is dating me a little, but we would say, are you going to be a nurse, Billy, or Susie? Are you going to be a fireman? Are you going to be a teacher? I grew up Catholic in the beginning. I'm no longer Catholic, but in the beginning I was asked, are you going to be a nun when you grow up? Are you going to receive the calling to be a nun? And I thought, no, I'm probably going to be receiving the calling to love God and yet have a family. But I want you to think about your childhood. What was that secret, deep desire? What was your dream? What did you want to do? Was it travel? Was it sail around the world? Was it to fly a plane? Was it to paint glorious paintings that will hang on the walls of museums? Was it to build a car from the ground up, from scratch? What was that dream? Why do you shrink away from your God-given power, your God-given talent? Because the desire of your heart is where your power lies. That is where it lies dormant within you. You need to step up to the power of your dreams. And the whole universe will support you. The minute you take that one step forward, you walk into this glorious dream. And I'm not saying it's going to be a bed of roses. I will be honest with you. Sometimes we will step into our power and it starts to work and everything is great, and then you're going to hit a few obstacles. The reason being for this is the earth is a world of duality. We live in a world of opposites. There's up, there's down, there's dark, there's light, there's day, there's night, there's man, there's woman. But what I am here to tell you personally, as all of those challenges, all of those obstacles are there as a spiritual test to see how badly you want this dream. How badly do you want this desire? Don't shrink away from your God-given power. Don't shrink away from your God-given talents. And don't shrink away from your God-given desire. And don't lay down on that last night of this lifetime
and say, boy, I really wish I had. Just don't do that. Do not shrink away from your God-given power. This is your challenge. This is your homework for this week. Write down the 5 things you thought about doing as a child, and you probably won't come up with 5. I guarantee you'll probably come up with 2 or 3, and you're going to recognize one of them immediately as, oh, this is what my mom wanted me to be. This is what my dad wanted me to be. My auntie told me to be this, or my teacher put this idea in my head. After you cross that off, find out what it is you really wanted to do. If all the world was your play, your playtime, what is it that you would be doing with your time? If money was no object, and for many of you, money might not be an issue, but if you were endowed with Bill Gates' fortune, for example, and your physical body was in perfect health, and the sky was the limit, and you had no boundaries, no limits put upon you, what would you be doing with your time? Would you be walking the streets of Paris, sampling all of the pastries and coffee? Maybe you would be in a field in Italy, painting the countryside. Maybe you would be sailing your own ship off the coast of Honduras. What is it that you would be doing? Maybe you would be on a bicycle taking a tour across the United States of America. What is your dream? What is your God-given talent? What is your God-given desire? And why do you shrink away? Maybe you don't. Maybe you won't any longer after this little talk. I hope this has been inspirational for you. This is your 5 minutes of therapy for your spiritual success. Until next week. See you then. You may find out more about Metaphysical Soul Speak by visiting us online at soulspeakradio.com, where you can sign up for our podcasts or subscribe to our newsletter or listen to our archived shows. Thank you so much for supporting Metaphysical Soul Speak. Well, that concludes another episode of my show. Thank you so much for listening. I want to give a shout out to my special guests, Aingeal Rose and AHONU. I am so happy that you were able to come on my show and enlighten us on the subject of twin flames. That was super fascinating. So I am standing here at sunset on the edge of Lake Tahoe, in South Lake Tahoe. The families are out gathering to look at the sunset over the mountains that have a little bit of snow left. Spring is in in full bloom. It's pretty cold. It's a little windy, but it's so warm that all the snow is almost completely melted. The ducks are going next to me. They're super beautiful. The little couples, the duck couples. So basically spring is in the air. This show will air on Easter. So happy Easter to all my Christian friends. I wanted to mention that Sunday, today, and also through this whole week, this will also air on Wednesday as well. This is the end of Mercury retrograde. I don't know if you are aware of Mercury retrograde or not, but just like we spend a third of our lives sleeping, we also spend a third of our lives under the influence of Mercury retrograde. And when Mercury it doesn't actually go backwards in the sky, but it appears to go backwards. During this time, it is a time for reflection, renewal, sometimes rejoicing, but usually it's a time for a breakdown in communication because you're not supposed to really communicate outwardly with people. You're supposed to communicate inwardly with yourself and with your version of a higher power. This is the best time to get in touch with your higher self and God. Mercury retrograde is a time when sometimes traveling can be a pain And thank you, God, that I've been traveling this whole Mercury retrograde period, and thank God nothing has gone wrong. And I'm very, very grateful for that. In my past, I have signed up for jobs that fell through 3 weeks later when Mercury went direct. I have started, when I was really young, I started relationships when Mercury was retrograde, and as soon as it went direct, the relationship went south. Mercury retrograde is a really crazy period, and it is a time of rebirth, regrowth, renewal, and even resurrection, if you will. And it is a good time to finish old projects and come up with new ideas and looking at things in old things in new ways. I'm really grateful for this last period of Mercury retrograde, actually, because it's helped me set my life on the right track. I've had a lot of mental time to myself. I'm really grateful. Had some good times with my kids. As you know, I've been traveling, I've been traveling in Nevada and California, and I'm getting ready. Some of you know this. I'm actually getting ready to move to South America for 6 months for a new adventure. I'm hoping to interview some shamans, if I can find them, and if I can find the translators that speak the shaman language in Ecuador. I'm hoping to find the archaeological dig that's going on. They did find the Incan Empire's last king and where he is buried. And right now there's this huge archaeological dig that just started last summer. So I would love to go and try to make those people coffee at the very least, because it's just interesting to me. It's all spiritual, and Ecuador is a very spiritual country. They have an army that has a division of meditation and peace. In fact, every morning they wake up before the sun. The sun comes up in Ecuador every morning at 6 a.m., between 6:06 and 6:08, I believe, and it doesn't really waver outside of these couple of minutes throughout the entire year. So about 5 o'clock, this division of the army gets up and they meditate and pray for world peace. And this was an answer to years and years ago when Peru attacked them and started a little war with them. And they believe that their efforts for world peace and their meditation, they're praying, they're asking God to intervene, they really believed that had something to do with ending of the war pretty quickly. So that's been an interesting thing that I've reflected on quite often, actually. I mean, what if we were able to do that with our lives, and when people caused us problems and pain and started many wars with us, what if we just turned around and said, hey, it's okay. I'm going to ask God to bless us, and let's get through it. That would be a renewal of who we are as people, if on an individual level we could take responsibility. Well, there's another reflection for you for the week. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll join me next week, where I actually don't know who our guest is going to be. It's going to be a surprise, but I do have some good people lined up. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and God bless.
Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.